Hello, everybody! Welcome to Ojai Films. My name is Jordy Steele, and I'm joined, as always, by Cameron How are you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm okay. You never did the joke. Hi.
I did get the joke in.
Did you?
Yes.
I didn't. You completely froze up for my internet is on the blink, so
Oh, no.
you completely just went robotic as you did it, and I was like, "Oh God, it's already ruined or
Oh.
cursed. We're never doing this again." But
Cameron-
here we are.
Cameron, it's been over a year since we last did a video together on this channel.
But not since you did a video on this channel.
It's been 6 months since I did the DCU explained video, but it's been since August 8th since we did our breakdown of the Marvel phases announcements.
Really?
Yeah.
It's almost like something happens around about now that we need to show face again.
Possibly.
On some level.
We might need to make content to make more content. It's amazing.
It's incredible.
But yes, we're back. We're in last week's video. No, we're here to. We're in August. It's more than halfway through 2023, but we decided let's talk about our favorite films of 2023 before we possibly go to a certain event that changes the list completely.
Yes, it's the pre-LFF kind of before, like, I guess it's the pre-list before award season and all the good films come out and also start making changes.
If things keep going the way they're going, there's not going to be any other films released this year. So
no,
things keep being pushed back.
It's going to be a very interesting, especially mainstream films.
Yes,
I would say a lot of independent films are still going to come out, but
yes.
Continue.
But before we begin, to put it all out there, to get to just for the sake of critical integrity, Cameron, are any films on your list owned by Mubi?
Yes.
Okay.
There's two. Yes, there's two films that are owned by Mubi that are on my list.
Okay, that's fine. They do good movies.
But I'm not gonna. I wasn't gonna talk about them too much. But yeah, they're there.
They're there.
So it's fine.
They're there.
I'll see if you mention anything first.
Possibly. I'm just saying.
Ooh.
Just in case it comes up. We are not endorsed, but Cameron is paid by Mubi. Also, Cameron, early in the year, you went to Berlin Film Festival.
I did.
Have any of those films made it to the list, apart from the
Am I allowed to tell you what's on them, or like, are we just... There's like a couple films, there's films I saw...
Say yes or no.
Yes. There's some films I saw either in promo form or in film form that are now on the list, so yes.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I mean, you mentioned it there. Maybe I have a film. I do have a film that's owned by Mubi. It's a great film, and it's Close.
Yes.
That's
not the one I picked out, but yes, that is indeed.
No, I very much enjoyed this film. I watched it on my own in my room, and I found it very, very happy. And I remember messaging you and be like, "This is a lovely little film," and then it takes a very dark turn.
Yep.
And it's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's about two young boys in Belgium.
Yes.
And they are very close, childhood best friends. And then they go to they move up to like high school, and people sort of see their friendship and intimacy as maybe something more, and it affects their friendship in bad ways, I'll say. It's written and directed by Lucas Don't. Oh,
he can. No, I couldn't tell you.
Who did Girl, which was another film from a while ago that is critically acclaimed.
It's very good, and I honestly think it's a very emotional film. Very it kind of gives you, it's got a lot of emotional gut punches in it, I will say. And there was when I first saw it in the screening room I was in, there was someone, I think in the same row as me, like a few seats along, who was just very loudly crying for like a lot of it. Like that's kind of the film, even during the credits. Just that's the kind of film you're here for. It's very it's an intense one, but it's great. Honestly, great film.
Yeah,
but didn't win the Oscar, and it should have. In the same, and it's not in the same vein at all. I'm just kind of trying to think of stuff that's not, just to get the sort of like more independent stuff out of the way. I've really enjoyed Reality. Don't know if you saw that one.
Yes.
It was, I saw that one in Berlin. I thought I had a really great central performance from Sydney Sweeney. It's I forget what it's called, but it's all the dialogue is based on actual like a transcript of a real event. This woman called Reality is under investigation for leaking stuff from the government, and it's about the police officers interrogating her in her home, and it's just very tense and very. It's just a very strange film, but very very well very well acted by Sydney Sweeney. I thought it was very very good, and it was the main film from Berlin for me that I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting much from it, because it was like you get a lot of these. I wouldn't say Sydney Sweeney's a massive star, but have a lot of these star-led films at festivals like this can kind of go either way, especially like more independent stuff. And I didn't have a lot of high hopes for it, but it exceeded all my expectations. So that was quite nice, and it was one of the ones that kind of stuck out for me from like the very few films I managed to see at Berlin. So yeah, that's Reality.
It was
you
one
saw
of those,
it, did you not?
It was one of those films where I was watching it, and much like Good Luck to You, Leo Grande, I was like, this would be a good like stage show, and it's because it is a stage show.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good, and yeah, I am noticing it's been quite a good year for animation this year.
Yeah, every single one of them's almost knocked out of the park.
Yeah, we've
even
got...
the bad one is pretty good.
Even the bad one? Even the bad one? Which was... Oh my god, which one is the bad one?
It's the Mario movie.
Oh yeah! I really enjoyed like the first 20 minutes of that film.
Yeah.
And then the rest is very forgettable. But Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was very good.
We watched that together in my home,
together.
and that was a beautiful experience where we just sort of sat next to each other on my sofa, and every so often look at each other going, "This is incredible! What the fuck? This is really good."
Yeah.
The whistle will haunt me for the rest of the year.
Such a good character, the wolf, the big bad wolf.
The big bad wolf. What a way to do the big bad wolf. Just, yeah.
And then we also had recently Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Which
these are all on my list. Like Puss in Boots is on my list. Puss in Boots was my number one film for a very, very long time, just in until the last couple of months there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, though, my god. I think it's better than Puss in Boots, arguably.
Yes.
That's just maybe me.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not alone there.
Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are very good at writing realistic teenager dialogue, and they have this sort of understanding of that culture and the youths, going all the way back to Superbad. So they kind of made for this kind of film, and I'm very excited to see what they do with the sequels as well as the TV show. But
every character looked incredible, though. Like I was under the impression that every turtle almost was reminiscent of a different era of the Ninja Turtles while I was watching it. I don't know if I'm just making that up in my head, but they were all so distinctive and so different that it was like it could have been any. They just looked so. Like it was just good to see that, because obviously they have the bandanas or whatever over their faces, and they can change them. The masks, and you can tell them apart. But this is the first time I feel like they've all really had their own, outside of their personalities, their own physical identity, and it just was very nice to see that instead of them all being uniform, aside from what they wear. It's quite nice to see that represented visually.
But the last sort of animated film that I've got on my list, at least, is the first superhero film that I've got on my list, and that is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
What peak animation this film is.
Only at the expense of thousands of animators crunching for weeks and months upon end, which is very sad. But
Phil Lord and Chris
Miller.
Film. They've come out and they've been like, the next film won't release until it's ready. Don't worry, we're not going to push anyone to a release date. And I feel like they kind of have to, otherwise nobody would want to work for them. With their sort of interesting ways of writing films and changing the film halfway through production.
Yeah. The information I'd heard from people that had seen them was like they were even as up to last year, before they moved the date another year, where they were still changing the ending, and it's just it's an insane way to work. And also, I would now argue that the film doesn't, because I knew another film was coming out. Well, when I first watched it, I thought another film was coming out in March. So I thought we'd wrap up the story, so it'd be great. I've watched it again since, and knowing I'm not going to have that resolved until whenever, like maybe 2026 if we're lucky. I like trying to look at the time between this film and when the first Spider-Verse came out. It could be like 2028. Like it's kind of insane. But knowing that, it kind of took a little bit of the punch out of the film. It moved significantly down my top 10 after a rewatch, after knowing what I know now. Because I just think films, you've got to be careful with doing part 1s and 2s, because it can really, for me, it like really affects the way you watch it, because I now know it's not a full finished story, and it's not gonna, it doesn't feel complete towards the end either. So it's not like you can look at it as a finished film and that you can leave it feeling quite happy. It literally ends on a cliffhanger. Yeah. At the midpoint of the story, and it just completely, it takes the winds out your sails a little bit, I feel. And I just don't think it's not good storytelling if you feel like that. If you're going to do a part 1 and 2, at least try and make them feel like cohesive films. Because there's another film on my list which is a part 1, and I think works excellently as a part 1 and feels like a finished film. But maybe it's not on your list. Maybe you don't think you've even seen it. I don't know.
Maybe I haven't.
Maybe you haven't.
I don't think I have. Can't think of anything. Unless you're talking about Greatest Days Part 2. But yeah, it makes, I mean, I don't want to say it makes sense why people were frustrated. It's a shame that people were frustrated, but the work that they put into it shows definitely in the finished product. And it is just amazing. You just watch it and you're just in awe of all the different animation forms, the way they sort of write different techniques of animation into the characters, and how like Miguel O'Hara, with all his like critical thinking and analysis, you can still see the work lines of his character design throughout the film. And then at one point, but near the end of the film, the characters have like realistic skin tones and textures on their faces, and it's amazing. And I watched this film with a bunch of NFTS students, who you'd think.
How did you manage that?
Special guest, and so. And you'd think they'd be aware that this was like the first part of a two-parter sequel, and a lot of them weren't, and it was really sort of annoying and disappointing for there to be a cliffhanger, and them to be like, oh, I can't believe I watched this film for free. and they left me hanging like that. And I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You people are stupid. You'll
People
go
are
see the
stupid.
next film. You wouldn't have survived Empire Strikes Back. So moving on to the next superhero film on my list, I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 by James Gunn, his last sort of, for now, his last showing in MCU. And a fantastic close to the best trilogy of the MCU.
Yeah,
not
I think so.
one like bad film.
Yeah, I think so. It's up there with Captain America for me because I love Captain America 1. But yeah, it's definitely up there for Captain America. Iron Man's got his duds. Thor, terrible. Yeah, I mean it's really well done. It closes up everything really nicely. It's the first time in a while my mum's finished watching and gone, that was marvelous. Like it's just been, it's really ended. It's such a lovely way to finish the MCU. I'm so glad they're never making any more movies after this.
Yeah, it just felt, it feels so distinct from everything else that they were making, and that's a real like testament to James Gunn, and I'm so happy that he's in charge of the DCU. But like, it shows that Marvel really need to put faith into directors and filmmakers that have that sort of vision, and not just this person can make this film for us.
I think that's the industry though. I feel like, and just not to go off on a wee rant, but that is exactly why things like this work. Why things like Barbie have worked. Do you know what I mean? Like we need voices. Like it's all well and good being part, like saying like, oh, it's not good to have them part of the machine or whatever, but like it doesn't need to be a machine. We can trust voices with these massive IP and stuff like that, like Barbie, like your Guardians, and letting them finding the distinct voice. Sure, if you want to make a big world like Guardians, you can do that, but still have each film have a distinct. It has something to say. It has like a visual style, and not just be a cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that about this film because it doesn't feel like even the last Guardians film.
Yeah.
It looks and feels different, and that's really nice.
And it's really like nice. It's we can get into it some other day on some other video, but the sad part of it is that this does feel like the last film with arcs for characters, and that's what made the first few phases of the MCU so great, which was you had the main players, Iron Man, Captain America, even Thor, they had arcs, character arcs that played out over the phases, and they closed, and it was all very satisfactory. Name one character arc going now in the MCU.
I mean, Doctor Strange has a third eye. That's going to be the arc.
Yeah.
The next eye. Like, it's just, it's really sad. And that's what I've been talking to people about this quite a bit, where I feel like I've now started to finally outgrow it. I feel like I'm finally moving on from my Marvel phase, which is a very sad thing to have to admit. But like, it's hard to get excited anymore. I used to be genuinely excited.
Yeah.
For any bit. Even back when they were bombarding us with series.
Yeah.
Like just before I don't know when, I think Moon Knight might have been the bit that finally killed me. I was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore. Like, I'm not enjoying having to slog through everything. Like, I've not finished Secret Invasion. I've not done any of that. It's superhero fatigue is real, guys. It is genuinely real, and they've managed to do it by bombarding us with something every single week. We do not need that much. And it's also doesn't help that some of it, like Secret Invasion, isn't good.
Yeah. Marvel's will be good. Nia
DaCosta is great. Like, she's a great filmmaker. If she's been allowed to make a film, that's incredible. Because I fucking loved Candyman.
And this one's silly and wacky, unlike the other Marvel films.
Do you know what we really need in Marvel? We need humor. We need humor. And I'm so glad she's bringing humor to the MCU, because it's just been so dark and just gritty the entire time, and I'm glad that we can finally let loose. Very quickly, I just want to talk about I'd imagine I've not seen very many horror films this year, just to preface this. Other than, I guess, Talk to Me. We can give a little honorable mention to Talk to Me because it is a nifty little film. I quite enjoyed it. It's really simple, really well executed. Is it Raka Raka? I don't know who. I apparently they're YouTubers. I don't know any of their videos, but they did a really good job of that. But
the
my
Philippou
main point,
brothers.
Yes, that's who it is. The main one I want to talk about is Evil Dead Rise really quickly. I bloody loved it. It is the most goriest thing. It was getting away with, like, Evil Dead Rise was like really good, and it was such good fun. I watched it with some mates over some pizza. We like just were shocked. We could like, this could not get any more gruesome. It continued to get more and more gruesome. It is the perfect beer and pizza film for people who like horror. It was like, oh, perfect. There's actually a story as well. It's about this time it takes out the cabin in the woods to a family in a flat in Los Angeles, and the book that does all the booky stuff is there. They do the curse, someone gets possessed, and then it just the Necronomicon. Thank you, and it blew me away. The main woman in it, I forget the name of, is the mum who gets possessed is incredible. I did not know things could break and bend that way. It is it's just, oh my god. We were in shock. We were shocked the entire time. I was in love with it. Yeah, that's my pitch for Evil Dead Rise.
Cool.
Loved it. Yeah, so Evil Dead Rise, what did you think? You didn't see it, so tell me.
I have seen it.
You have seen it? When did you see it?
I saw it when it came out on digital.
And did you enjoy it?
I found it the most boring film I've ever seen. No, I did find it quite boring, to be honest.
Really?
Yes. It sort of, it flew by, and I just didn't find it entertaining.
I can't believe that.
I found it just gore porn.
I'm so sad.
And I had no attachment to any of the characters. And I just found it a bit silly.
It's one of those movies where they go, "Oh, it's fine because they're kids. They can't kill the kid. They can't hurt the kids," and then they hurt the kids. I'm upset you weren't there. When I think you were working. It was a Monday night, so I imagine you.
Yeah.
I think it was a Monday night, so you were working.
But yeah, I found it very silly, and I hate that they've turned my Evil Dead films silly. It's a crime.
They were never silly.
They were
that
never
Army
silly.
Of Darkness movie. That Army of Darkness movie was pure
Name
seriousness.
One Evil Dead project that's been silly. Moving on. I've got 3 more films left.
Right.
I'll talk about the one which you have seen, which is, I guess, my favorite film of the year so far still. And it is the Oscar-winning The Whale.
Is that your favorite film of the year?
I really like this film.
It's now just outside my top 10. Sorry, go continue.
I think Brendan Fraser everyone gives such a great performance, and it's such a great adaptation of a great but controversial play, and I think just everyone gives it their all. Darren, Brendan, Sadie, Ty, everyone just puts on a show, and it is so good to watch, and I've watched it twice.
Right.
And it's just the feels. It hits you in the feels, Cameron.
And you did see this at LFF with me, didn't you?
No.
It was a year ago. No, you didn't see LFF.
No,
okay.
I saw it.
Oh, you just moved. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
you
saw
weren't
it
there.
I saw it just before the Oscars for the first time, and then I watched it July the second time, I think.
Right.
Because I was like, this has been at the top of my list for a while. Will it still be there if I watch it again? And then I did, and it's just so good. Mm-hmm. What did you think of it?
I loved it for all the same reasons you did. I think it's slowly fallen down my list purely because I haven't watched it in a year. So I watched, you gotta remember, I watched this in October of last year.
Yes.
So I can't say.
You watched it where in October?
London Film Festival. Yeah, no, but the film is really well done. I think it toes the line between too stagey and too cinematic. I think that it's stagey and just the right amount of cinematic. I do feel like some of it does feel like everyone's stood in a room talking, like it could be on a stage. But other than that, it's there's some bits of it that are really well done. Sadie Sink, I wish she was in more stuff outside of Stranger Things. I've not watched Stranger Things, so I don't know what. I've not seen her in anything else other than this, and I want her to be in more things.
Yes, you have, Cameron.
Have I?
Because she's in the all too well 10-minute version.
That's true.
Music
That's my
video.
film of the year. That's my film of the year. I like it a lot, but I just haven't watched it enough. I haven't seen it recently enough to be able to confidently say it's a film, because it was technically this year for the UK, but
yeah,
I saw it last year. It came out in the US last year, so it's one of those like grey area Oscar films when it comes to film of the year.
Before we get to, have we done your number one film of the year? Have you been waiting for that?
Well, my number one film of the year is something I can't really go into too much detail about.
Okay.
Because I had to put my movie hat on. And it's not like it's under embargo. It won the uncertain regard it can, but I really, really love How to Have Sex. It's directed by Molly Mann Walker, who did cinematography on a film called Scrapper, which never a film I want to give a special shout out to, because I saw that came out the day we're recording, so you've not seen it yet. But that's incredible. That's a great film. Everyone should go and see it. She's a cinematographer for that. She graduated from the NFTS. It's her first feature. The film itself raises great questions around consent. It's a kind of coming of age film. These girls go off to, I can't remember the exact place, but effectively Magaluf. It's a very it's very like in your face. It's not, I wouldn't say In-Betweeners movie because that's doing it an injustice, but it's very much like an In-Betweeners movie-ish for the first maybe half an hour, and then it kind of delves into more of that. The main character is a virgin and hasn't had sex yet, obviously, so is kind of wants to this holiday to be where she finally loses her virginity, and she kind of meets a guy that's not the best. Things happen. And then it kind of, it's a very, very well, great performance, very well done, very well rounded film. A great performance from Mia McKenna-Bruce, who was in The Dumping Ground on CBBC. So that's where you might know her from. But it's great. It comes out very soon. That's my movie hat is off. Go see it.
Okay. Two last films I want to mention, is which you haven't seen, which shock me because one of them is The Fabelmans. By the Fableman himself, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Do you know
who's he anyway? I mean, come on.
It was really weird. I don't remember what won Best Picture this year.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Ah, it won everything, didn't it? Yeah.
All at once.
All at once. But Steven, The Fablemans. It was one of those things where by the time I'd watched it. So it had been to all the festivals. Everyone had loved it or hated it, and there was such hype around it that I was like, I think it's going to affect how I watch it. And then I watched it, and I was like, nope, the correct amount of hype. I loved this film, very much, and it's such a great the fact that it is a film about Steven Spielberg, essentially, and it uses so many real life stories from his life, and of course he would be able to make a great film out of his real life. And Seth Rogen was in a great performance. Paul Dano, Michelle Williams, the main guy, I don't remember his name, but he does a great thing. And it's just it has that Spielberg magic that you always see in Spielberg films, and it was in West Side Story, and it's just really warm. It makes you feel warm inside.
I need to watch it. I'll give it a watch. at some point very soon. But it's one of those ones you just kind of never get around to doing.
Yeah.
The other part one, I mentioned a part one before.
Yes.
Maybe you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
You do realize a Mission Impossible film came out this year?
I do realize, but economic crisis and everything.
Ridiculous.
And also, I've just been a bit busy.
It's so good. Mission Impossible. I feel like curse the people at Paramount who decided, do you know what? We'll go the week before Barbie. That'll make it. That'll be fine. Like, I don't know who was calling the shots there, but it was the silliest decision known to man.
Yeah.
This film, as again works as a cohesive piece. The stunts are incredible. I think it does better than Spider-Verse in that regard. That it is a finished and completed film, despite being a part one. That's all I'll say. Stunts are incredible. Haley Atwell's great. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It's mainly because Barbie and Oppenheimer was what I chose to go see, and then we saw The Crucible, so it was a pretty packed day.
Yeah.
Can't afford to go into London all the time, and all the other cinemas around us I'd get stabbed at. My last film, which you haven't seen, is a film called Infinity Pool, Cameron. It is the second film by Brandon Cronenberg, son of David. He did Possessor, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And I don't think this was as good as Possessor, but he's quickly becoming one of my favorite filmmakers, and he's very much like his dad, where his films have this sort of sci-fi-ish concept where really it was David Cronenberg was making Black Mirror episodes before Black Mirror was a thing, and this film is about Alexander Skarsgård and his wife, played by Cleopatra Coleman. They go to a Middle Eastern sort of resort, and basically this resort is filled with like upper class people, while everyone the locals around them are having a sort of uprising, and there's like it's like a police state, and everything's bad. And then these upper class people, one of them played by Mia Goth, sort of they become friends, and then they commit a crime. I think they kill somebody, and they get arrested. And then it turns out that the resort they're staying in has a clause where if one of their guests is arrested, they will be sentenced to death, but the resort will clone them, and the clone will be killed.
I don't know if I want to watch this film.
It's a very strange concept, but it works so good. Like they're like, yeah, we'll clone you, and then your clone will be killed by a family member of the man you murdered. And then it just works so well when it quickly becomes a thing where it's like, am I watching the real person now, or am I watching the clone? And also, when that responsibility and the consequences are taken out of actions, how far will you go, and how deep down the rabbit hole will you venture? And it's really good, and it's got Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård, and they're brilliant.
Mia Goth has the world's strangest voice, but that's okay. We love her for it.
Yes, and she has no eyebrows in this film.
And she's in a relationship with Shia LaBeouf, or was.
Not in this film, but yes.
Yes.
But yeah, I really like Brandon Cronenberg. Looking forward to what he did. And then last year, his dad came out with Crimes of the Future, another really weird film, which I really enjoyed.
Jordy, just a quick one.
Okay.
Since are we at the end of the list now? We're going to talk about Barbie a little bit. Or what?
We could talk about whatever you want, baby.
We liked Barbie. That was good. I feel like it's overdone to talk about Barbie.
Yes.
Oppenheimer, I wasn't as big on. I think I was missing something, but you still really liked it.
I really liked it. I think it was marred a bit by there wasn't a lot of focus put onto the editing that there is in all the like upper class Nolan films, because he usually puts such an importance on the editing. I feel like this, even with this film where you are still seeing different timelines and point of views, it was very much like over the place. But performances are great, cinematography is great. It's a Nolan film. He's a good director. He's going to make a good film. It's just the sort of post-production things that could affect it.
Interesting.
But yeah, Barbie.
Fucking loved it.
Give it best song.
It's going to be the Billie Eilish one that gets nominated.
Best production design.
Sure. Hair and makeup.
Costume. Hair and makeup.
Costume.
Would it be original screenplay or adapted screenplay?
That's for someone with more knowledge than me.
I think Oppenheimer might win adapted, since it's adapted from American Prometheus. But
then they might do original, but then again, you might have to look at it and be like, well, it's adapted from the characters from Mattel.
Exactly.
So, that's the issue. Is Barbie a character from Mattel, or is Barbie a construct?
Yeah, at least.
Or how does that work?
Are we getting Golden Globes, or is that officially dead?
No, it's been bought over by like the Dick Clark company or something. So like there'll be another company doing it now.
So
it's not
it
the
will win
Hollywood Foreign Press.
Probably best comedy picture, and then I don't know what will win best drama.
But we'll find out. I was going to ask you what might disrupt this top top film list for you. Like what do you think is going to come in and swoop it? And
what am I looking forward to? London Film Festival, you might say.
Yes.
I really hope we see Maestro.
Yeah.
The next Bradley Cooper film, because Star is Born was so great, such a great directorial debut. And he looks like, everyone loves put on some makeup and prosthetics and become another man role.
Wearing a prosthetic nose.
Yeah, that's how he's going to win best actor, by wearing a prosthetic nose. And I'm really looking forward to Wonka.
Are you hoping that's it? I don't think it will be LFF, but
I think it will be.
No. It's not until December.
We'll see.
Known quantities at the moment, we have Emerald Fennell's Saltburn as the opening gala, which is a pretty good big get, I would have said. I don't know if you've got any. I think it's going to be a pretty big one. It's an Apple film, I think.
I
so
don't
maybe
know
a little bit
much about this
cinema
film.
Release, maybe. But it's got a good cast. But the main one that got announced the other day, Chicken Run 2, is going to be world premiering at London Film Festival. How do you feel about
that? I hope it's another win for animation this year, but Early Man came out. That happened.
But they've had good films before that, like after that.
Yeah.
Well,
before that they had Pirates.
Right.
And before
that was good.
It was good, but before that they had Curse of the Were-Rabbit. So they have been on a downward decline.
It's been slowly dropping.
It's been on a decline. Yeah. So yeah, I would love if this was great. I would love if any film was great, but it's not what I'm most looking forward to. It's been a while since the last Chicken Run, and nearly none of the original cast are returning. They've all been recast. All been recast with modern British actors. And who's playing the rooster?
No. Oh, Zachary Levi.
Ah. The least problematic of actors.
Yes.
He's just taken on completely taken on the role from Mel Gibson of just saying Stupid.
I will say, the director is Sam Fell, whose credits include Paranorman and Flushed Away. So,
okay,
we're all right. I feel like we're doing okay.
We're doing okay.
Anything you hope's there?
Wonka.
Anything else?
I don't know. I've not really been like sort of up to date with the festival circuit. I'd like all the ones I've heard about are from like Berlin and Cannes, and I don't think any of them will be there because they're already like coming out now. So I don't know what really to expect, which is kind of good because last time I went to London Film Festival, it was quite one of the best aspects of it was just picking a film, going to see it, not having much sort of knowledge of what to expect, and sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes you get that film about the man who cheats on his wife with the woman and she comes to the house and I fell asleep.
What was that?
It was the one that had a French name and it was like Le Affaire.
And you can see the review of that here.
I don't think you can because we decided it was so boring we just didn't want to do a review of it.
Really?
If we do get into LFF, I will promise you right now that we are not doing individual videos for every film that we see.
Although it worked out really well because we got a lot of views off that.
Yeah, but it absolutely destroyed our brains.
We did so well though, Jordy. We did it so well. We were filming and editing those on the same day and uploading them on hotel Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Travel Lodge Wi-Fi those things got up on.
Yeah. Inexorable. Do you remember Inexorable?
Not. If I can help it.
Do you remember Ali and Ava?
Yes, but only because it became a talking point at uni. Like,
do you remember Encounter? That's all the time we have. We've gone way over time.
You're gonna edit this down.
Be a busy boy.
Remember, you can take out films and just like, you know.
What are your favorite films of the year? What films are you looking forward to? You can tell us down below. You can tweet us at Ohio Films. You can tweet me at Real Georgia Steele. And you can tweet Cameron at
Cam's OG. Although I'm not on Twitter much anymore. I just kind of browse it, if that. Threads, get me on Threads.
On Threads at Geordie Steele and at Cameron Howe.
Cam's OG.
Cam's OG. Okay. Fantastico. BFI, please accredit us.
Please.
Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.